civil litigation and representation. Last week हमारा बहुत अच्छा program था where we did discuss about the police brutality and the police force, excessive force जो उन्होंने use करें against civilians and normal people, and obviously उसका बड़ा response हमारे पास आया from last week, hundreds and hundreds of calls, number of emails. It's been absolutely astonishing, the response. But we've got to be fair, we have to be impartial, we have to take things in perspective. So as usual, we will be discussing some about them issues later on in the program, because we will touch on that a little bit. And जो current issues on उसके भी बारे में हम discuss करेंगे, because that has a number of impacts on the people living in this country. So we have to uphold the law of the country, and जो rules and regulations regarding immigration. We'll discuss that. Outside Britain and Europe, we'll be discussing that. And as usual, we'll be having our panel of team who'll be sharing the platform with me, and I'd like to welcome them. First of all, welcome Ali Reza.
Good afternoon.
And Raj Saab, welcome to the program. Welcome, Islam. And Raj Chopra Saab, solicitor, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So पहले तो हम ये कहते हैं अपने जो नाज़रीन हैं उनसे बात, जो हमारा प्रोग्राम है जो इस वक्त, इसमें हम डिस्कस ये करेंगे। जो पहले तो हमें चलते हैं जो हमारे लास्ट वीक जो प्रोग्राम था उससे पहले हम स्टार्ट ज़रा सा करते हैं। तो उसमें हमने जो प्रीवियस प्रोग्राम में हमने हाईलाइट करा था जो पुलिस ने एक्सेसिव फोर्स यूज़ किया, ब्रूटैलिटी जिसे कहते हैं इन इंग्लिश, तो उसके बारे में हमारे पास नंबर ऑफ कॉल्स आई थी, ह्यूज रिस्पॉन्स ऑन ईमेल्स, व्हाट्सएप, फेसबुक पे। But we'd like to thank everybody who got in touch with us. बहुत सारे लोगों से हम नहीं कांटेक्ट कर सकते थे because of the time was not available. तो अभी आप देख रहे हैं you're in the background पे वो फिर स्क्रीन पे चला रहे, and the reason for that is because हम आपको थोड़ा सा इसका अपडेट भी देना चाहते हैं where we're up to. First of all, I'd like to say, Ali Reza, obviously we did discuss this, so we don't want to spend too much time on this, but आपसे मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ that there is some kind of demonstration taking place.
Yeah, I think there's the meeting up in one of the parks. I don't know exactly.
In Rochdale.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think they're marching to the police station where the officers who confronted them are located as a peaceful protest.
ठीक है। तो अभी स्क्रीन पे हम अभी लगाएंगे जो व्यूज़ हैं जो लोकल हैं ग्रेटर मैनचेस्टर में जो इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहते हैं वो भी जा सकते हैं। आज 3 बजे एक पीसफुल डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन है for the protests against the police excessive force brutality, and उसके बारे में demonstration in Rochdale today 3 o'clock. वैसे अब आपसे भी मैं बात करना चाहूँ, obviously आपने भी अपने views पे share करे थे sentiments भी, तो आप समझते हैं लोगों को इस वक्त जाना चाहिए?
बिल्कुल जाना चाहिए, और जितना भी किसी अपना दोस्तों को खुद भी जाएं और दोस्तों को भी टेलीफोन करें, व्हाट्सएप करें, जैसे भी ये फुल फ्लैग प्रोटेस्ट करना चाहिए। उन्हें याद करना चाहिए कि अगर ऐसा होगा, अगर जितनी हमारी गैदरिंग होगी इतना इनके लिए बेहतर है, और यही इनको पैगाम जाएगा कि वाकई ये जाग रहे हैं, ये अभी सोए हुए नहीं हैं। जितना प्रोटेस्ट करेंगे, जितना अवेयरनेस होगी, इतनी हमारे लिए बेहतर है और कम्युनिटी के लिए बेहतर है, और कम्युनिटी को हक सच का साथ देना चाहिए। और ये आंखें बंद नहीं करनी चाहिए, आज इसके साथ हुआ मेरे साथ नहीं हुआ तो मैं क्यों जाऊँ। ये हर एक का काम बनता है, जो भी सुनेगा अहले जिसका ज़मीर जिंदा होगा उसको जाना चाहिए। और ये नहीं कि वो रॉचडेल में हुआ, मैनचेस्टर में नहीं हुआ, ये हर जगह हो सकता है। इसलिए मैं इसकी सपोर्ट करता हूँ और मैं खुद भी जाऊँगा और बाकी दोस्तों को भी कहना चाहता हूँ कि वो खुद भरपूर उसमें शिरकत करें।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। Raj, obviously being a solicitor, what's the message you want to give to the people who will be going today? Obviously they need to be civil and behave in the right manner, not to get high-tempered, and that's important.
It should be a very peaceful demonstration to bring awareness to the police that what they are doing is totally not acceptable.
जी, थैंक यू। अपने जो नाज़रीन उनसे ये कहूँगा, अभी हमें पीछे बैकग्राउंड पे वो देंगे, अभी जो पीसफुल डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन जो हो रहा है उसका हम स्क्रीन पे देंगे, जो डिटेल्स आपको पता चलेंगी। सो इफ ग्रेटर मैनचेस्टर people who are local would like to participate, please go along. So thank you very much. That was a very important, we needed to discuss that.
If we can let them know, it's at Broadfield Park.
जी, yes, वो अभी ब्रॉडफील्ड पार्क में है डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन, पर हमारे स्क्रीन पे भी आएगा, वो डिटेल्स will come on the screen to let जो viewers would like to go and the public who want to participate, they will be able to take part in that one. So I think that we will come back to that during the program. So I want to discuss a couple of things with Raj at the moment. Raj, obviously being a solicitor, the law is very important. One of the big issues we have, everyone drives cars. and the cars are getting faster, and that's a big issue because people are speeding, and our job could be that everybody is well aware. The speed cameras, the police are doing random checks, what camera leke karon mein khade hote parked up.
Yes.
So let's just talk about that. For example, if somebody gets pulled by the police or gets speeding, get unke paas aata land on the doormat that you've been found speeding. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Some views about that, what can be done.
Yeah, the police will send a notice of intended prosecution under Section 172 of the Road Traffic Act 1988 to find out who the driver is from the registered keeper. The camera only takes the number plate, but it cannot identify who the driver was. So in that case, if you receive a notice, you have to reply within 28 days. If you fail to do that, you will be prosecuted and you may receive 6 points and £1,000 fine. However, some police, such as in Greater Manchester, they will send, if you're not responded within 28 days, as a matter of courtesy, they will send you a reminder. And if you still don't respond, then you'll be found, you'll be prosecuted for that sort of offence. And now the new system is that if you fail to provide the details, they will send you a summary justice where online you can plead guilty, and under Section 144 of the Criminal Justice Act 2003, you'll get full credit, 30% for your early guilty plea, and then you have to obviously submit your means form, your outgoing and disposable income. On that basis, you will also be fined. But should you not send the information required, then there are some defenses, like if within 28 days you've not been able to identify who the driver was, that is a defense. Or if you sent a notice and the police has not received it and you've been found guilty in your absence, then you have to do statutory declaration to reopen the case under Section 127 of the Magistrates Court Act 1980. And then the another defense is that you acted diligently to make an effort who the driver was, and that is a defense. So there are 2-3 defenses available, and we specialize in that. If anybody's been a victim of those circumstances, we can reopen the case, or we'll look at it and we can assist them, and then we can revert the whole situation back. But if somebody's already got 6 points, for example, and 6 is also given again, then he's going to get mandatory 6 months ban.
So right, I'm going to come to that in a minute. Obviously, जो discuss करना चाह रहा हूँ is about this speeding fine जो अपने के speeding का जो statutory जो आती है from the police that you must comply and provide details. Now let's just talk about that. Now somebody receives that and he's not a driver. He's a duty now to provide the details, and the person who must provide, it must be the registered keeper, provide the details of who the car was given to. Now this is what I'm talking about, because a number of people in the family who drives cars, the people, they try not to give the details. The reason we're discussing our views को बताते चले, our purpose is that आज का ये जो purpose हम discuss करने के जो लोगों को पता चले the severity जो आप उन चीज़ों को नहीं police के साथ comply करें तो उसके उनकी duties क्या होती हैं and how severe that could be, and it can lead to prosecution as well. And this is why it's important that आप एक heavy fine भी होगा. अगर आप fail करेंगे and you don't comply, then you can be banned as well with a heavy fine, and this will go to the magistrates court. So Raj, just coming back to this same thing. So speeding, the awareness of Road Traffic Act 1988. There's a statutory demand by the police authorities you must provide, and in that the vehicle register keeper must provide the full details.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah? So it's the maximum points you're going to get will be
6 points and £1,000 fine.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But you just asked me the question, what happens if there are 3-4 members in a family and you don't know who was driving the vehicle? But if you are prosecuted for this matter, then the evidence must be given to show exactly what steps have been taken to try and identify who was the driver of the vehicle. And if you can show, look, I asked my brother, I asked my mom, I asked my sister, and nobody could know such and such date who was driving, and that is a reasonable due diligence, and that could be your defense if you are prosecuted in court. If the court believes you, then that offence goes away.
So you have up to 28 days.
Yeah, another thing I want to do, tell you that, you know, when people get a speeding notice, and if they do not provide the details, then the speeding goes away. Now you're only being prosecuted for a new offence, which is failing to provide the details of the driver. So I have been to court many times, and when people say, look, I could not provide the details, or I did not receive it, and if they haven't got points which is totting up more than 12, then I can negotiate with the prosecutor to say, well, could you offer him fixed penalty for the speeding instead of failing to provide the details. And it depends on the prosecutor, depend on which court we are in, and hopefully we can get very good results.
Gee, thank you. So Ali, would you like to say anything on that? Because at the moment it's a big campaign. We understand why speeding kills, and that's the reason they have to be a bit more rigid on this, and we quite agree with the laws.
I think there's another defense, not a defense, but the police are lenient. Each area, you know, in the country has a limit. So, for example, if you, if it's a 40-mile-an-hour zone and you drive just under 50, I'm pretty sure you might be able to do a course, and then they will, you won't be prosecuted as long as you do the course, and it's your first time. I'm sure.
And I'm going to come back to Raj. Raj, obviously.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, but you asked the question to Mr. Ali about it. Yeah, there's all these speedometers, even though electronic or otherwise, they have a tolerance of 5%, plus and minus. Yeah. If the limit is 30 mile and you are driving 32, and if you write to the police, not to the court, and ask them, could I be offered a rehabilitation driving course, and I think it costs about £100, and if you do within a certain period of time, and then you're a more diligent driver, and then they will not prosecute you for that. But that is only discretionary, it's not mandatory.
I mean, I've seen the paperwork, I've seen the Manchester, in the when they issue it in Manchester, and there was one for, I think it was 30 miles, the limit was 30 and it went to 40, it was 38 or something, and on the paper it had that you could do the course, and it usually states it on there.
Sure.
On the prosecution side of it.
Well, we just want to be clarified that, Raj. Obviously, the position on that is, you make that position clear that there is the very onus is on the person to provide the correct details, and it's the police who will take that. The CPS will decide which way to go for it. Tell us a bit about
no,
it.
that's the police will make a decision at that stage, because the matter is not gone to the court where the CPS will take over. But as Mr.
That's
Ali,
later on,
as Mr. Ali said, I don't think so in my experience that if it's a 30-mile limit and you're driving 38 and they will offer you rehabilitation course, no, it doesn't work like that. Maybe 1 mile, but recently the
5% up
Ministry
and down
of Transport and everybody, they're saying even if you are 1 mile over, will prosecute you no matter what happened, because fatal accidents do happen, and thinking distance and stopping distance, and you'll be surprised how many people have serious injuries or whiplash even if you're driving 5 miles an hour. If you have an accident.
I disagree with it, because I've seen a chart recently where they have a chart and they say you're up to this limit as long as you haven't applied for it before. So I've seen it myself.
That's only discretionary. It's not,
it's not
that they will definitely offer you one, but it you know, it's up to the police.
It varies from area to area. But
different
if it's
police force, they have different criteria. In Staffordshire, if you're speeding excessively, you get a fixed penalty, but in Manchester, they will prosecute you.
Of course, this is very important, and thank you. Raj, आपसे अभी इसी पे हम discuss करें. So if anybody's in this kind of situation whereby they need some legal advice, what they need to do, so you can ask us in the program. We'll be more than happy. अगर आप program के बाद information लेना चाहते हैं, then you can contact the control room, and they'll be more than happy to provide our details. So we can be contacted. The number of calls last week, Joe, needless, okay, and we had a number of people trying to contact us. So control room, somebody details them, we'll be more than happy to provide other information regarding any legal issues. So we will be able to provide that if you need to contact us. Raja, I'm just going to also ask you, the other problem is, and vast number of people are using mobile phones.
Oh yes.
So that is as an offence.
Yeah.
And there you will be, they will take stop you, and they will be given straight away a penalty
fixed
notice.
penalty.
Yes.
And
let's talk about
points,
that. Yeah. Tell us just a little bit on that.
I think now the police has increased the strategy to find people, and I think you get instant 3 points using mobile phone.
6 points. It's 6 points.
Yeah.
6 points. Yeah.
6 points.
That's all right.
No, it started with 3 with a fixed penalty, but now
6.
it has been increased similarly to bring in line with the speeding offences.
But they do, in some cases, like Ali was mentioning, in some cases they do allow to go on one of them courses.
No, if you are using a mobile phone, you never get a rehab course. There's a fixed.
I think it's straight 6 points.
6 points and a fixed fine.
So it's going to be straight away, no question about it. You will be not offered any opportunity. No. So which is very clear.
Yeah.
Obviously in the community, this is a big issue. A number of people, ladies, gents, this is what they're doing. Mobile phones are a big issue and driving around. We all do this, but we're not supposed to do this, and we're not going to be doing this because you've got to be on a hands-free. And even on hands-free, you can't touch the mobile. Yeah. You can't even.
ये केयरलेस ड्राइविंग का हिस्सा और ये नहीं करना चाहिए और ये करेंगे तो फिर इनको फाइन भी होगा और
जी ठीक तो चलिए हम एक कॉल लेते हैं. Let's get a call come in. जी welcome to Legal Matters. Hello.
जी रज़ा भाई से बात कर सकते हैं इमिग्रेशन.
ना आप लाइव इन प्रोग्राम पे आप अपना क्वेश्चन बताएं अगर आपको बात करना है. ये लाइव इन प्रोग्राम. अपना नाम बताएं.
मेरा नाम मोहम्मद अहमद है जी.
जी ओके.
मैं मैनचेस्टर से बोल रहा हूँ भाईजान. मुझे एक सवाल पूछना था. आप इमिग्रेशन के बारे में भी जवाब दे रहे हैं?
जी जी विदाउट इमिग्रेशन इज आप क्वेश्चन पूछ लें. विल गिव यू द जवाब देंगे.
वेरी मच. मेरा सवाल ये था भाईजान कि 2008 में मैंने ये ह्यूमन राइट की बेस पे केस किया था तो मुझे वीजा मिल गया उसके 2 साल बाद ही ना.
ठीक है.
मेरी फैमिली थी और मेरा था तो मैं उसके बाद डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी लीव होती है 3 साल की, वो मुझे मिली पहला वीजा और उसके बाद मुझे 2013 में फिर दोबारा 3 साल का वीजा मिला
जी.
तो अभी मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि इंडेफिनिट को मेरे 2 साल हो गए हैं तो मैं नेशनलिटी अप्लाई कर सकता हूँ?
जी जी आपको हम इसी प्रोग्राम में जवाब देंगे बिकॉज अभी नंबर ऑफ कॉल्स हमारे पास आने. जिस टाइम आप प्रोग्राम वॉच करते रहे इंशाल्लाह अभी हम आपको जवाब दे देंगे. ठीक है ना.
नो प्रॉब्लम. और ये मैंने पूछना था कि ये जो पूछ रहे हैं ये जो गुड करैक्टर ये हमारे पे लागू होता है कि नहीं, और दूसरा ये था कि इसमें जो इंडेफिनिट से पहले तक गुड करैक्टर देखते हैं कि वो हमें 10 साल पूरे करने पड़ेंगे नेशनलिटी के लिए.
ठीक है बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. आपको जवाब देंगे. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर दैट क्वेश्चन. We will be discussing immigration matters and just touch on, of course, a good character will be a major part to play.
Yes.
अगर आपका good character नहीं होगा तो you will not be given. So program में हम आपको discuss करके और भी बताएंगे. So
can I mention on regarding? I mean, there's been recently a few programs regarding talking while you're driving. I mean, in the Midlands, they're having high-rise buses where they're recording, and when people this is where they need to really watch out. When you're in a traffic jam, you're going to look at your phone because you're in a traffic jam. You're just sitting there, and you're getting in trouble just for waiting in a huge queue. You cannot use your phone whatsoever, and that's what the situation is right now. So people have to be very vigilant.
There have been some incidents where lorry drivers have been using mobile phones and they have crashed and loads of people have been killed by these accidents. Now what the police is doing, they hire lorries and they go and they virtually record any drivers who was using mobile phone.
I think that obviously just what Ali just mentioned, that's what the Midland police are doing. They're running campaign. Just like you said, there's been a number of these fatalities. So obviously this is very important.
Road safety is paramount.
Yes.
Young children have been killed who were at the back of the car.
There's been fatality has been unbelievable. But this is the key important thing. Just coming back, Raj, आपसे जो discussion चल रहा था about the points that police when you're speeding, what happens, because there's a very important number of people who deliberately they give the wrong information and it's another driver to get somebody else. Yeah, that's a crime. Let's just talk about that.
They will be prosecuted for perverting the course of justice, deliberately telling lies, and there have been quite a few cases. In I think one of them. Yeah. So it's a crime to give false information, mislead the court, not telling the truth. I will always say, be honest, tell the truth. If you have committed a crime, you know, and you're liable for it.
So if you make an arrangement to somebody else to take your points and driving, you will be prosecuted.
Yeah.
And you're going to
and the police will scrutinize. They will go to very long lengths to ascertain. You know, sometimes people say, "Oh, my cousin has come from abroad. He was driving the car," and they're given the details. The police will keep on pursuing it until they get to the bottom of the truth. And I always say, be honest, be sincere, and don't make a mistake. You come out from one frying pan and you landed in another one. Perverting the course of justice, you could get custodial sentence.
So in other words, you probably land up in jail.
Yes,
this is a serious matter.
Yeah.
तो ये बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट आज का ये मैसेज है that anybody जो बड़े लोग इस तरह करते राजन जो भी टच करे that वो कहते हैं हमारी कार थी, yes, but driver was one of my relations from Europe or someone from outside, and this is what we're talking about. If you do this, and the police will look into that, and if they find out that you just lied, then you will get prosecuted, and that kind of issue here. And if it comes to their light, no matter how long it might be, they will make examples of this. And right, just coming out of the आपने fine could be done because it's a huge fine. Not only that, so is it £5,000 or thereabouts?
What fine?
For the fine by the police and disqualification is and custodial.
Right. We're talking about the speeding. It's a £1,000 fine.
No, we're talking about people who mislead and pervert.
Oh yeah, perverting the course of justice, depending on how severe the matter is.
Yes.
This will be sent to the Crown Court, and the Crown Court judge will decide what sentence to impose, and they could be very heavy sentences, and plus there may be proceeds of crime if somebody's being paid to take the points on his license. That is another matter.
So that's a very important process of the crime. There's a pocket. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to move over to
I mean, regarding that, I mean, there was a well-known case regarding a Tory minister. I don't know when you were aware of it. A couple of years ago, where the wife
he received 4 years custodial sentence because I think what I read from the paper from top of my head, she took the points. He had an affair. They split up, and she made a complaint, and he was prosecuted.
He was
prosecuted. What it was
4 years he got.
He did, yeah.
For perverting the course of justice.
That's called the perverted the course of justice. But there are a number of people, hundreds of people up and down the country. Do not get involved with this. It's a serious crime, and if it comes to the knowledge of the police, they will prosecute. Just diverting into a different subject at the moment. We will come back to this one. I've got a matter pass quick call out here and we will speak about it. However, we will discuss one or two other issues on it. We want to talk about, last program I gave about landlords and tenants issue, and that's been a big issue. If you're a landlord, agar aapki property hai, you've got an issue with your tenant, there is a number of rights, and for the tenant there's rights and there's the rights for the landlord. So Ali, you've been a businessman, you've experienced some business issues relating to these kind of tenants or tenancy major problems with the tenant.
I mean, what happens is that sometimes you can vet your tenant and they seem fine, but they could go through a crisis where they've lost their job, or certain situations can happen. They can't pay their rent. Now when arrears accumulate, you got to still pay your mortgage as a landlord. When it gets to above 3 months, you're able to issue a Section 21. Now, the problem what landlords are having right now is that a lot of councils are issuing licenses. If you're not aware of it and you issue a Section 21, it will be thrown out. You have to have a gas safety certificate, and you got to have an EPC. With the electrical side of it, you're fine with that. They haven't come into, they're not compulsory at the moment. but a gas safety certificate and an EPC you've got to have before you able to serve a Section 21.
I'm going to come to it. I'm up to बात करूँगा इसके बारे में. It's very important. But what I'm going to ask you, the problems, ये rent के जो problems होते हैं, इसके बारे में आप जो कह रहे थे. So you rented a property out as a business person, thinking this person is going to be honourable.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a property in Cardiff, and I wasn't aware of that. You had to have a license. The whole of Wales, any property that you have in Wales, you've got to have a license. They've made it. No, it's not HMO. It's completely different. This is a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. Doesn't matter. They're issuing licensing now. Now, part of the license, to get a license, you've got to do a course. You've got to do a course online. You have to pay a certain amount of money, and then they give you. You've become a license holder. They issue it. It takes a bit of a process. I wasn't aware of it. I issued a Section 21, and it was rejected. So I'm letting landlords know that you've got to find out if the council the area that you're in, if the councils are issuing licensing. If they are, you won't be able to issue a Section 21 or 8 and to evict your tenants.
We'll come to that in a minute. Section 21, you cannot issue in your first 4 months in tenancy. That's very important as well. That's the law as well. So Raj, obviously there's big issues relating to Ajgal Bohot. There's clamping down. There have been rogue landlords. There have been equally issues with the tenants as well. You're having these kind of problems. So I think it's got to be in the balance. So Ali's been as a businessman, he's rented a property out. Obviously he lost thousands of pounds on that one. As a lawyer, we'll ask people, if anybody, rather than they try to ignore it or try to deal with themselves, and then they're going to lose thousands of pounds, they need to contact a reputable solicitor.
Of course, yeah.
Why is it important?
When you receive a notice, and obviously you have to file your defense, the matter will be listed in court for final hearing, and then looking at the circumstances, how behind the tenant is, the court will issue an eviction order, which is, I think, effective within, it depends again on the judge, 2 weeks, 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and then you will get your possession of the property. Again, sometimes the tenants would not leave because they cannot move on, they can't find another, they can't pay the deposit for the other property to move into. Again, then you have to instruct the bailiffs to enforce.
I'm going to come to that because you're after some process which is good. Like I said, you can't issue in the first 4 months. You need to give 2 months notice. This is the most important in Section 21. So 2 months notice then is important, part of the rules regulations. And you were talking about, you touched on gas safety certificate. People don't, if they fail to do that, then they're breaking the law.
Absolutely. You'll be prosecuted. And you get a very hefty fine.
I think it's a £20,000 per offence, the fine, but that's the maximum for big corporates, but it's not individual is going to get that. There is a trading standard breaches. No.
I mean, one of the things what I will say to landlords is that there's a lot of tenants who accumulate arrears. Now, what they can do as a defense, because the problem that you have as a landlord, the law really in this country is really siding with the tenants in a big way. If you were to go to Dubai or many countries, if you didn't pay the rent, you will be prosecuted criminally. That's how bad it is in other countries. But in this country, there's not much you can really do. The defense that a tenant can have, they can turn around and say, well, yes, I'm in arrears of £10,000 or £8,000, but the landlord didn't fix the boiler.
Yeah.
So this is the problem that you've got. And
so this is the
yeah, exactly. Now, but they have to prove that they did get in touch with the landlord to say, look, my boiler, and the landlord did not fix it. So that would be a defense, and you wouldn't be able to throw the tenant out. So you have to be very careful on this when you go to court.
We're going to continue with this one, and obviously और भी discussion राय साहब को भी लेके आना है, because there's a number of issues relating to international rules and regulations के बारे में, where people who've been doing it. corruption, politicians, and the people from the bureaucracy who've been caught into that. Us could be bad and discuss because that's important, because a number of people in this country who are partisan with other parties, like for example different parties back in Pakistan, unki bhi bare mein bhi discuss karna, because there has been a number of issues relating to that across the country and in Pakistan as well. We want to talk about that because it's got some issues relating to local community. But we're just going for a break. We'll be a break about just over a short break. We're going to be back soon. So keep watching Our Legal Matters. We'll be going to be back soon. Welcome back to Our Legal Matters. Just before the break, we were discussing some of the issues around issues about Section 21, Section 8. If you're a landlord, you've got issues with tenants. This is what we're discussing about. So if you want to give us a call, you can do. Our program ke baad bhi hame contact kar sakte hain. We'll be more than happy. Just coming back onto that one. So Ali Reza, you was just talking about that this is what you heavily lost your money in that one. Because if you have an issue with you, if you have failed to provide, the tenant just makes an allegation that your property, your boiler wasn't right, or you didn't keep it or maintained it, so he can use that as defence.
Yeah, you can.
And so so
and they can not only use the defence, they will also be seeking compensation
that's
from
the key
landlord
thing.
And say the housing disrepair. And it's become a big issue nowadays.
Call it. Is it continue?
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Welcome to Our Legal Matters.
Yeah, just want to ask one question from the solicitor.
जी बोलें, अपना नाम बताएंगे please.
Shahbaz.
Welcome Shahbaz. Question बताएं.
If someone got a visa on the basis of FLRFP, and is this possible he and she can take working and child tax credit? He and she has minimum level of income like 13,000, less than 13,000.
Minimum income threshold. ठीक है शहबाज, आपका question आ गया. Thank you very much. Program watch करें, आपको जवाब देंगे. So keep watching the program. We will come back to that. Thank you very much. That's a very good question. We will talk about that one. But let's just इस वक्त जो program के we are discuss about the landlord and tenant section 21. उसमें Ali mentioned about the landlord's duties to provide EPC and also the copy of the gas safety certificate. The original one will be on a chain. Those are key things. Now, in Section 21, you cannot issue in the first 4 months. That's the law. That's a big. Again, अगर आप चाहते हैं tenant को बाहर निकालना, you can't do this. So you're restricted because you can't do it in the first 4 months.
And once you issue the Section 21, you have to wait 2 months.
Yeah. Also, बिल्कुल सही है. Again, Ali Reza has mentioned it. Then you have to give it a further 2 months, and then you can. Section 21 will become active. Now, if you really want to kick somebody out sooner and make them change that, then it's Section 8. Yeah. Okay? So Section 8 gives you that. Section 8 आपको वो facility दे दी है where you can do that and you can take the person out from the property of yours, and then you don't have that's basically possession of the property, just what they call a notice to quit. Yeah. That's the wording. And let's just talk about that one for a minute. And so the laws on that one, I just want to make it clear, it's called law for Section 8, is that you got to be in arrears of 2 months. 2 months rent arrears, yeah. That's right. So there's a difference now. Section 21 was a specific separate issue. Section 8, we just talked about, is that you don't need to give a reason, and but the qualifying point must be rent of arrears of 2 months. 2 months. 2 months. Yeah. So, Raj, in circumstances like this, again, it's major. After anybody in this situation, you would advise them that they need to contact. Yeah, seek legal advice if it is a landlord or a tenant, and then after expiry of 2 months period, the court will grant you the possession order. Again, as I said, nobody goes voluntarily. You have to instruct bailiffs, and then it's extra cost, and they have not paid the rent for another 2 months. So the landlords are at loss. I totally agree with Mr. Ali that everything is in favor of the tenant. The attitude of the parliament is put the hand in the deepest pocket. So basically, realistically, if you're a landlord, you want to do the right thing, you need to speak to a reputable solicitor who does landlord and tenants issues.
Absolutely.
Well, Ali, just coming back to you, obviously, in issues like that, I mean, did somebody in that situation with yourself would have done and made sure that you recover your losses. Once you do get a tenant, get an order against a tenant for your loss of rent and the damage to the property, then Raj touched upon it, then we can instruct bailiffs.
The problem what you have is that a lot of the tenants, when they can't pay the rent, they usually have CCJs or they have bad credit, and it's virtually impossible to recover your money. Recover your money. The main thing what you want is that you want them out of your building as soon as possible, so you can put another tenant in, so you can start getting rent.
Cut your losses and move on.
Absolutely,
That's the bottom line.
absolutely.
Cut your losses and run. I mean, just on that one, if the tenant fails to leave the property, what the procedure in that one is, then you have to go back to the court and get bailiffs. Let's just talk about that one. So the judgment's been done.
You don't have to go back to the court, but you can instruct the court bailiffs. I think there's a certain fee they will charge, or the percentage, etc., and they will enforce it. But then again, they are not at home. The bailiffs are turning up, and the fees are incurred again by the landlord. And it is
It's
very
such a hard deal for
difficult
landlords in this day and age.
situation.
It's just ridiculous, honestly.
you
Maybe
feel
High
one-sided.
Court sheriff
Absolutely.
could be instructed to deal with it, or if depending on the court order, you could go and change the locks again. Then they will make allegations that the landlord trespassed in their property, etc. There's so many issues. It's a very big area, landlord and tenant. It's not very simple. It's very complicated. If anybody's in that sort of situation, please seek legal advice, and we can either negotiate with the landlord or with the tenant, whoever we are representing, and we can resolve this matter. Otherwise, it is ongoing, and landlords are keep on losing money.
But I would say, Raj, also with अपने ये जो अभी हमने discussion में बात बताया आपने, so if the court then makes a grants it in favour of the landlord, and tenant doesn't go, then the landlord has an option after
To enforce the
order by instructing bailiff and serve the notice, and then the bailiff will then kick him out and change the laws.
Hopefully here.
Yeah, that's the idea. But because somebody £1,000 are lost by them. Yeah, so this is the big thing.
Yeah, a lot more than that. I would say a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Legal costs are a lot more.
Because they're not
Cost of it,
thinking
we know
the
that.
2 month
And the damage to the
period,
property.
and then the enforcement period, there's still, you're out of pocket for like 7-8 months.
All I would tell landlords is that really you gotta really vet the tenants. You gotta put that in place. You gotta check them out, their previous history, what kind of jobs they have. If it's a secure job, you gotta do all that.
But if there are
don't put yourself in that.
I've got about benefits being, and the money's going direct to the tenant. That's a big.
That's another big issue, that the
absolutely,
council will not pay the housing benefit.
They're living it up
unless you have a letter of authority from the tenant that even though you got it, the landlord got that authority.
Yes.
The tenant can go at any time to change the authority. So the landlord thinking, I've not received rent this month, but what they've done, they've gone there.
They're going to the
change
drinks,
because it's your right.
No,
you can
what
change
it is that they give it through universal credit now. So they give them a big lump sum. Now they see that they don't want to part with that to the landlord.
Yeah.
You know,
It's in the bank account.
It's in the bank account. So you're dealing with but the council's argument is they got to have responsibility. Now they're on the dole. What responsibility are they going to have?
With respect, Ali, I know they may be on the dole, but obviously they will need to.
The bottom line is,
I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all of them. But I don't believe that they should be
fairness.
a landlord, maybe a commercial landlord properties if you wish to buy, because otherwise you will have this headache all your life with the tenants.
I think commercial law will be absolutely. It's slightly different because you can act within straight away if anybody breaches it. But these are what you call the people in short-hold tenancies. That's what we're talking about. So just wrapping this up is a very important thing that in the section 21 there has to be short-hold tenancies. You did mention
6 months.
6 months schedule. You did,
rolling one and all that,
and you also mentioned that gas certificate. You mentioned about a copy of the EPC, and one important thing which is very important is a copy of how to rent the property. This is another one in UKMA. That's now the law.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, then you're going to be in big trouble.
I mean, they're looking at now legislation where the minimum. I think they're looking at abolishing a short-hold tenancy, and they're looking at a minimum of 3
Leases,
years and
yeah.
things like that. Really, aren't
Yeah,
they?
where
Which
the
is,
if any breach of the tenancy agreement or the lease agreement, then the landlord will have more rights to forfeit the a lease
Yes.
and get a possession faster.
Yeah, because there is a major problem in both sides. Because
I don't know. I've not heard that. I've heard more about having a minimum of 3 years, abolishing the 6 months. I've not seen anything towards a landlord where there's everything what I've heard about the legislation which may go through Parliament is towards the tenant, securing the tenant, making sure because they've got this kind of attitude of a lot of landlords being rogue landlords. But I think the majority of the cases, I mean, you being a solicitor and yourself, is usually the tenants not paying the rent.
True.
Don't get me wrong, there is some landlords
Gee.
who have property which are not in good condition and they're not very good landlords, but the majority of cases, I would say, is on the landlord side where they've not received the rent.
But this is the biggest issue where landlords have put students in the property, they put 10, 15, and the property is in a bad state of affairs.
It does happen, yeah.
And
It does
this is
happen,
why
yeah.
they have to do. So the law has got to be clear, and we've got to uphold the law. They got law, they protect both sides of the coin, as I say. And you've got to be, if you feel that somebody's breached it, then you have the law to go into and to use that as your defence. So Raj, up to me, one of the things that you did mention very well, that instead of losing £1,000, that people should contact the experts to deal with it rather than trying to do a botch-up job and then lose the money.
Or rent it to the agency, the state agents, they're quite good. They will vet it for you. They charge certain percentage.
But they won't go to court. Court may need represent sector because they're not allowed to do that.
No, they can go as an agent on your behalf, but there's no anything in law that you cannot represent yourself. You need to have a solicitor. Every person has a right to represent themselves.
So you can't, obviously the person himself can go there, but there needs to be, that person will be as a friend, going as a Mackenzie friend to represent the person.
Imran, you've got to have professionals dealing with this at the end of the
That's
day.
the bottom line.
That's
You can do it,
You
but
cannot race a Mini with a Ferrari. It took me 10 years just for the training alone. So,
it's better to go somebody who knows and
qualified lawyer can do. Individual person cannot, because there are procedures, there are things to do, witness statements, etc., and you have to comply with the court orders. No matter how good case you have, if you're not complied with the CPR rules,
you'll be thrown. The case will be thrown out.
The case will be
thrown out.
struck out.
Yes, absolutely. G. Oh, G. Just before we finish on this, thank you very much, guys. I was going to come to that, but you might debate it. So, Raj, we did get this call earlier on. Jinnone phone karke pucha tha about the discretionary. He's got this. He's on a 10-year route. The character reference is very important.
Very important. Even I do a lot of appeals and judicial reviews. There was one doctor who had a speeding ticket, and when he applied for his passport, they rejected it because it's a criminal offence. So we had to reopen the case because he was so busy tied up at hospital. He just pleaded guilty when he was not even the driver, and it's very minor road traffic matter. And imagine if under Section 32 of the Borders Act 2007, so many people who receive custodial sentence of 12 months or more, even though they are on indefinite leave in this country, which is discretionary by the Home Office, and they are on a deporting list. Now, coming back to this gentleman, he has to complete 10 years, and he has to have a good character, but that doesn't mean that he will not get his British passport, etc., because if you justify good character, nowadays they also look at if you got a CCJ in the last 6 years, that is also a negative point in that favor, in that person. It goes against him. So the bottom line is good character, but even if you have committed any crime, there's always an explanation you can give.
So Raj, just wanted to ask one thing. When you've done 5 years when you get your indefinite, So is it 5 years after that you can apply?
No, there's a discretionary leave के बारे में. Ali,
you know, if somebody's got indefinite leave, then after 1 year, after completing 5 years, you can apply.
That's a different.
That's a different. That's a different discretionary leave he's on, and that can only go like 3 years, 4 years.
हम इस पे आएंगे because we're actually running out of time. यही था जिनकी कॉल आई थी वो हमसे कांटेक्ट कर लें. Through the control room number ले सकते because we're actually running out of time. Just on the other one, the issue about you're not allowed to rely on public resources on anything of that nature in any of your applications. That's very important. Raz साहब आपसे बस quickly because time given issue है मैं जल्दी बात करना चाहता हूँ शहबाज शरीफ के बारे में because obviously he got arrested and by NAB National Accountability Bureau from Pakistan. इसके बारे में आप थोड़ा सा टच ऑन कर लें.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम लब्बैक या रसूलल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ताजदार ख़त्म नबूवत जिंदाबाद. सब तो पहले मैं शाह महमूद कुरैशी साहब ਨੂੰ सलाम अर्ज़ करना और उन्होंने शाह महमूद कुरैशी साहब ने जिस तरह पहली दफ़ा पाकिस्तान ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਕੀਤਾ अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा च ਉਹ एक बिल्कुल ऐसा तरीके ਨਾਲ उन्होंने पाकिस्तान ਦੀ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦਗੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ और जो खाकियां ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ उन्होंने हाईलाइट ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹਦੇ अपना मुबारकबाद मुस्तहिक ने. अल्लाह ताला इन्हां ਨੂੰ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ कामयाबी कामरानी दे और इसे तरह काम करने की तौफीक देवे. और दूसरे नंबर शहबाज शरीफ के बारे च सवाल किया गया. शहबाज शरीफ ये मकाफात अमल है कि शहबाज शरीफ ने जो कुछ किए है वो बिल्कुल उन्होंने करना अपना कटना पैना. जो बोया उन्हें कटना उन्होंने हज़ारां बंदियां का कतल कराया और कसूर का वाक़या सब तो ज़्यादा मैं कहना चाहना कसूर जितना जुल्म सितम होया वो पिछे सारी नमरूद लीग शामिल सी. इन्हां दे सारे चेले चमचे उन्होंने शामिल सी और इस तरह बेदर्दी नाल मजलूम अवाम नाल इस तरह इन्होंने जुल्म सितम किया जिहदा कोई मिसाल किसी जगह नहीं मिल सकती भी. और उस तरह जब इमरान पकड़िया गया अजे तक उन्होंने सजा नहीं हुई. लेकिन मैं कहना कि उहदा इमरान जो कसूर के वाक़े पकड़िया उन्होंने दोबारा उहदा रीट्रायल उहदे वास्ते GIT बनाई जाए. मैं दब नाल कहना उहदे च बड़े बड़े इन्हां दे अपना नाम आवणगे नमरूद लीग वाले दे और उहदे च बड़ा कुछ निकलेगा भाई. वो बिल्कुल बेहतर होया ये भी अल्लाह ताला की तरफों ही कोई बेहतर होया कि अजे तक उन्होंने सजा नहीं हो सकी. उहदे वास्ते GIT बनाई जाए मुहब्बत वतन पाकिस्तान की जिन्हां विच ईमान की रत्ती होवे ना कि ईमान तो खाली हो एक ईमानदार टीम की अपना GIT बनाई जाए ਜਿਹੜੇ दोबारा उस पर इंक्वायरी करे और कसूर वाकई बिल्कुल दोबारा वो रिसर्च होनी चाहिए कि किहड़े वो शामिल ने. और मैनू पता तुहानू ऐसे ऐसे बंदे वो शामिल नजर आउणगे जिहड़े तुहाडी सोच तो बाहर होणगे. दूसरे नंबर इन्होंने कहा कि ये अपना शहबाज शरीफ जो गिरफ्तार होया ये एक किस्म का इंतकामी कार्रवाई हो रही है. शर्म का मकाम इन्होंने वास्ते एक दिन का काम नहीं एक हफ्ते का काम नहीं जो कुछ होया भी ये अशियाना स्कीम एक हफ्ते बनाई है PTI ने बनाई है. इन्होंने सब कुछ किया इन्होंने पता. लेकिन जेडे जमीर फरोश ने जेडे मुर्दा जमीर ने जेडे इन्होंने टुकड़े के पलन वाले जिन्होंने ये हड्डियां सुटते रहे सिर्फ और सिर्फ वो बंदे इन्हों की मैच होणगे. बाकी मुहब्बत वतन पाकिस्तानी मुहब्बत इस्लाम कोई बंदा भी इन्हों के नाल वफा नहीं करेगा क्योंकि इन्होंने किसी नाल कभी वफा की नहीं. इन्होंने नाल वफा क्यों करेगा. ये मकाफात अमल है सब तो बड़े ये अल्लाह सुभान तआला की पकड़ विच ने. जेड़ा बंदा मैं वार्निंग देना चाहना जिन्हों में ईमान की रत्ती है वो हुण ही इन्हों छोड़ देन बई. अगर इन्हों नाल रहणगे अल्लाह ताला के हुक्म नाल वो भी जलीलो खुआर होणगे इसे दुनिया के. और इस वास्ते एक सारे गाजी मुमताज़ हुसैन शहीद कातल ने उस तो वड्डी गल कि ताजदार ख़त्म नबूवत बागी ने और इससे वास्ते अल्लाह सुभान तआला की पकड़ चले भाई. और दूसरा जेडे भी खाके बनाए सी जेडे चंद बंदे इन्होंने जिन्होंने किया सी इन्होंने अपना अज तक उन्होंने अरेस्ट किया और कुछ इन्होंने गुस्ताख रसूल इन्होंने नसा के हाल किधरे किधरे भेज देते हैं भाई. इस वास्ते इन्होंने शैताना ने उन्होंने जेड़े इन्होंने उन्होंने हिमायत की है गुस्ताख रसूलों की हिमायत की है. इन्होंने मुमताज़ हुसैन शहीद करने वास्ते बड़ी जल्दी सी लेकिन उसके अलावा हज़ारों लोग ऐसे हैं जिन्होंने सजा अजे तक नहीं हुई क्योंकि इन्हों के अंदर बगैरती सी इन्हों के अंदर मकारी सी इन्हों के अंदर मुनाफिकत थी. उस मुनाफिकत की सजा भुगत रहे और अल्लाह ताला के हुक्म नाल होर इस दुनिया ते जलीलो खुआर होंगे और राती दुनिया तो निशाने इबरत बनगे. इस वास्ते ये निशाने इबरत बन गए और अज की दुनिया वास्ते जिस तरह शहबाज शरीफ को गड्डी में बिठा रहे सी और बेबसी का आलम सी वास्ते शहबाज शरीफ को जिस तरह गड्डी बिठा रही थी आवाज़ बहता होया सी उन्होंने समझ नहीं सी आ रही मैं किस पासे जावां बई. और धक्के दे वही पुलिस जेडे इशारियां ते उठक बैठक करती सी जेडे ये इशारियां ते अपना मॉडल टाउन च उन्होंने कतलो वारत की सी और ये सुता रहा सी कहंदा मैनूं पता नहीं लगा ਉਹੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਹਬਾਜ਼ ਸ਼ਰੀਫ ਨੂੰ ऐसी इस तरीके उन्होंने डील किया जिस तरह एक करांदा रहा और ये मकाफात अमल है कि उसे पुलिस से जलीलो ख्वार होया और बेबस सी बिल्कुल जिस तरह एक वास बात था एक महबूस अपना मजनून होंदा इस तरीके गड्डी च बहा के लैके और साबित हो गया अल्लाह ताला दी वाला लाठी बेवाज है जेड़ा भी अल्लाह दे प्यारे नाल गुस्ताही करेगा जेड़ा अल्लाह दे प्यारे नाल अपना जुल्म करेगा और उन्होंने अपना इंतकाम करेगा और जुल्म सितम करेगा जुल्म जितना भी होगा बढ़ेगा मिट जाएगा और एक कैफरे करदार तक पहुंचणगे और ये जो कहते कि लो जी इंतकामी कार्रवाई है मलेशिया में प्राइम मिनिस्टर की बीवी अरेस्ट हो गई है उत्थे कोई जुलूस जुलास निकलन नहीं इस वास्ते पाकिस्तान की अवाम जहल अवाम है जी इन्होंने पैरोकार हड्डियां खाने अवाम है जिन्हें नॉन सेंस अनएजुकेटेड है इस वास्ते इन्होंने जितने अरबा रुपया इन्होंने ऑरेंज ट्रेन दिलाता ऑरेंज ट्रेन कि फार्म फायदा होया ऑरेंज ट्रेन कई बंद ने खुदकशियां की मैं खुद उत्थे फिर के आया जिन्होंने बंद के कारोबार तबाह हो गए जिन्होंने बंद उत्थे रिहायशा से थले दुकाना कर रहे थे इन्हों की वजह तो इन्हों की हट धर्मी की वजह तो इन्हों के अंदर इतनी फारोनीयत आ गई सी इतना नमरूदियत आ गई सी कि इन्होंने किसी गरीब आवाम का एहसास नहीं किया और अल्लाह ताला की पकड़ च आ गए हुण तुहाडे जो एहसास करेगा वह भी शैतान होएगा शैतान तो इलावा मैं उसको कुछ नहीं कहूँगा और जो पाकिस्तान 14 अगस्त की आज़ादी के मुनकर होंगे वो इन्हों के नाल होंगे 14 अगस्त की अज वो मीटिंग करते फिरते मैं पाकिस्तानी अवाम नूं जे मुहब्बत पाकिस्तानी जे मुहब्बत सलाम जिन्हां दा ज़मीर जिंदा और जिन्हां दे अंदर ईमान दी रत्ती है मैं उन्होंने मुखातब हाँ बेईमानां नूं ज़मीर फरोशां नूं गद्दारां नूं मैं मुखातब नहीं उन्होंंने मैं मुखातब हाँ जिन्हां दे अंदर ईमान दी रत्ती है और ज़मीर फरोश बाज़मीर ने कि इन्हां दा पिछा छोड़ दिओ